Now let's take a look at the meeting agenda from the perspective of the Toastmaster of the meeting or the VP of Education. Once again, I should remind you that as the Toastmaster or the VP of Ed, it's still a club policy that you guys need to decide upon within the club. If the club VP of Ed take care of all the agendas, or the Toastmaster of the meeting take care of coordinating the meeting through the agenda, this is something that's left up to club policy. It's not specific for the Free Toast Host platform. But here I'm just showing, as the VP of Education or the Toastmaster of the meeting, what you can do. As the VP of Ed, you will see a Create New link next to the meeting agendas. This is if you want to create a new agenda. So let's start off by creating a new agenda. Why not? When we click on Create New, basically we're taken to the agenda where we see nothing. It's just kind of like a template. We could click on the plus button to create a new agenda. We choose the meeting date. Let's say January 5th of 2012. And we get to choose from our template whether we use our default agenda, which is set up by the webmaster or by the administrator of the Free Toast Host site, or we could choose a Toastmasters default one page, the Toastmasters default detailed, and there's a few other choices down there as well. Or you could see that we could basically copy any of our existing agendas. Now this is great if we had taken the time and created a custom agenda for a contest, a special distinguished speaker that comes to visit, and the meeting might be a little bit different. We could find that meeting and just copy that one. But for this one, I'm just going to choose our default agenda. And in the meeting description, we have our default header. This was set up by your administrator of the website, so you could completely change this around and change information, add some text to it, theme, and so forth. And once everything is good, click on Save. And then you'll see that you could control each item of the agenda. So it starts off with your standard agenda with nobody signed up. So to get a better view of what we're seeing here, let's click Close. And once it refreshes, we could see that we have a template agenda here with nobody signed up, speaking slots. We could see that over here in the member column, where we have a dash, those are roles where people cannot sign up. For example, I couldn't take the Sergeant at Arms position if I wanted to, just as a member, because I'm not the Sergeant at Arms for the club. But as the VP of Education or the Toastmaster for the meeting, I could click on the Edit button, get back into the Edit window. I could go to the Sergeant at Arms role. I could select who our Sergeant at Arms actually is, and I could click on Save. So this is basically assigning that person that role. Once it refreshes, we'll have that person in the role. Now we could do the same thing for the other roles. Let's take a look at this one, the President's opening remarks, and then all the way at the end here we have where the President comes back again with the closing remarks. Now the way that the agendas were set up is so the President role, you don't have to select the President every single time. There's only one place where you would select the President, and this is, you could tell because the President, the keyword President, is surrounded by the stars, the little asterisk here. That means anywhere else where President is used, surrounded by that, it's a role that you cannot sign up for. It'll just automatically fill that person in to those roles. So as we scroll down, and we look here, we look at the President's closing remarks, there is no pull-down menu, because automatically when we select the President up here, that will be filled in by default. So if we close the edit window, we could see the president was filled in both places. Okay, and now if everything looks good the way we want it, of course we could go back to edit, and this is something we're not going to cover in this video, something we'll get into more detail in the administrator video. But it's very simple to delete any role from here. Adding new roles, it'll automatically add it in at any time you give it, and you could change roles around. You can make them longer. This is something that you might want to do, for example, if you found out that speaker number 2 is not going to give a 7-minute speech, they're going to give a 20-minute speech. Well, then you could edit this role, and you could see that the start time is 8:06, the end time is 8:13, and you want to actually change it to 8:26. You could click on that to make it 8:26, click on Save, and the agenda will automatically adjust. So speaker role 2 will now be 20 minutes, and you could see that every role after that has automatically adjusted given the time that it already had. So it's still the same time frame. So example, 2 minutes to complete evaluation form is still 2 minutes, but that 2 minutes has shifted from 8:26 to 8:28. But now we have a problem, because now the meeting that normally ends at 9:30 is now ending at 9:43. So a solution to that, well, it's your agenda. You could do whatever you want. But for example, in our agenda, I think one of the best things to do would be to take away some time from table topics. Right now we see that table topics goes from 7:16 to 7:36. We're 13 minutes shy. So if my math is correct, changing that to 7:23 should do the trick. And then saving. And 9:30. And then close the window. And now we have our agenda ready to go. Now, as the Toastmaster or VP of Education, I'd most likely want to click on the email icon and go ahead and send this agenda to all of the members saying, we just created this agenda for January. Go ahead and sign up whenever you feel like it. Click on Send Email, or something to that extent. And finally, this button is the Delete This Meeting Agenda. I'll go ahead and delete this because this was for test purposes. So I could click on this Delete button. Dialog pops up to make sure that I want to delete it, and I would say, yes, I'm going to delete it. Normally, I would suppose in most cases that the Toastmaster would not be responsible for creating the agendas from scratch. Maybe the VP of Education would do it, could do all the agendas for the entire year, for 6 months at a time. And maybe it's just the duty of the Toastmaster to make small edits and changes, like I did before with the timer role, with the speaker role, changing the time. So if the speaker notifies me that our speech is actually going to be a bit longer, well, then I could change that. Since we're talking about speakers, let's take a look at some of this information here. It looks a little bit different logged in as a VP of Education or as the Toastmaster, because I could actually select a speech, I could type in the speech title, and I could type in a speech introduction. So could the member who's actually signing up for a speaking role. So if you were to sign up and take a speaking role, you would see all this information available to you. This is ideal to keep track of your speeches because the website remembers all of this and could produce reports showing this information. So you would select the manual, you would enter in your speech title, and then you would enter in the speech introduction. Once again, this is something that you'd want to talk to your club about, your club officers, to find out what your policy would be on this. But in our club, we strongly encourage all of our members to enter in their speech introduction here. Because when you do enter in the speech introduction, and you save the information, and again, the member could do this directly, or the VP of Education, or the Toastmaster can do this. So maybe we have a member of the club that isn't that tech savvy. they want to send us their information just via email, or call us up on the phone and tell us what speech it's going to be, the title, and the introduction, which would be a little bit crazy if we have to dictate it over the phone and retype it in here. But if they send you an email with all the information, you can just copy and paste. And now, as the Toastmaster, before the meeting, you click on the little print icon by the speech introduction, and it pulls up this great little printout for you, this web-based printout that has the name, the speech, the manual, the time, the speech title, and the introduction, double-spaced in large text, which is perfect to bring with you at the lectern and read directly from this. So it makes it very convenient. Anytime you want to update the speech details, you could just do that, enter something, remove it, click on the button, and there you have it. Again, if you're a Toastmaster or if you're a VP of Education, you have a lot more editing access, you have a lot more power for the agenda, and as the Toastmaster, you don't have this access until, of course, you actually sign up for Toastmaster, or until the VP of Education assigns you as the Toastmaster. If you're listed as the Toastmaster, again, it has to have the keyword Toastmaster, or the Chair, or Contest Master. Those are the three key words that the system uses to identify you as the Toastmaster. You will have this kind of editing access only for the agenda that you're listed as Toastmaster. So this person does not have the same kind of access for next month's meeting. The Toastmaster for that meeting will have that access.